Mr. and Mrs. North and South American, all ships at sea, let's go to press.
Here we go.
Here now from the Crystal Cruises mobile studio with all of today's cruise and travel news and a bit of commentary. It's the guru on the seas himself, Tom Drake.
It is indeed himself on this Wednesday, Hump Day, July 29, 2026. And welcome to the podcast. This is Tom Drake's Daily Cruise and Travel News Podcast, now available on Facebook and YouTube and soon on many other platforms. Why? Well, recently I celebrated over 1,000 audio podcasts, And then I received an email from a gentleman that wasn't happy about something I said. And he goes, "Why don't you ever show your face?" Well, here it is. This is what you wish for. So now we're on social media to spread the word so people aren't deprived of all of the knowledge. You know, I spent over 30 years, still do it, as a headline comedian on cruise ships around the world. And I have an intimate knowledge, I tell you, not enough to get arrested, but intimate knowledge of the cruise and travel industry. And every day I talk about, well, first, my team of Brooks and Reese and Zachary and BJ and others, they give you all of the news, and then I comment on the news because I don't want to work that hard. Today happens to be Side Effects Wednesday. What? Not everything on this podcast is about the cruise and travel news. A lot of it's about me. Anybody that knows me, that's not surprising. You see that thing there? That's the jab. That's Wegovy. That is what you take when you want to lose weight and you're too lazy to do diet and exercise. And a couple of months ago, I decided to spend the money because it starts out at $199 a month and then goes up to $349 for Wegovy. And Wegovy basically tells you you're not hungry or tells you not to eat. It replaces your father. Remember growing up? You'd have dinner, but you were still hungry. You'd be in the kitchen with the refrigerator door, but the father would go, "Shut the door, you had dinner." "I'm still hungry." "You had enough. Go to bed." That's what Wegovy tells you. It tells you you had enough whether you did or didn't. And it was helpful to me, so I decided to go a step up. The first 2 months, I did the 0.25. And yesterday, I elevated to the 0.50. And prior to jabbing myself, I received an email from a close friend, no names, who told me he just went to 0.50 and he was sick over the weekend and throwing up and never felt so bad. And now I'm holding on to this stick that costs $349 a month. You get 4 of these suckers. And I went, let's go for it. So I did it, and I'm still waiting. So this is officially Side Effects Wednesday. There are no HIPAA laws with this podcast. So yesterday I had to go to the doctor to get the new prescription to go to 0.50. And I go to a place here in Kissimmee, Osceola Regional, new name now, some conglomerate, HCA. And I'm seen by a resident, then I'm seen by my regular doctor, but he's never there. So I said, I don't care if he's there or not. I just want to get the new prescription. So 2 residents came in to speak to me. Lovely gentlemen, recently graduated. Now they're doing their specialties of internal medicine. And they had a million questions. I'm like, just give me the jab. And they want to know about this. Just give me the jab. And then he said, I want to check your heart. I said, go ahead. Do what you want to do. And he's checking my heart. And, of course, I have a heart murmur. He doesn't know it. Most young doctors never hear it. And I told him, this is a test. And he found it. And that's passing the Krauss test because that's my doctor. So he found it. And then he talked about an echocardiogram because of the murmur. I'm like, I've had it forever. I just want the jab. Give me the prescription. So he leaves, and the next thing you know, in walks my doctor, who they told me wasn't going to be there. And he said, I don't know why they tell you that. I'm always here. He's never there. And he sits down, and now I become a lab rat for these residents. And they all have their stethoscopes out, and they're all checking my 4 valves. I didn't know. Did you know? There are 4 valves in the heart, and they're all listening to this. I'm like, and I looked at Dr. Krauss. I said, I was like, as Nicholson said in that, I was seconds from a clean getaway. I thought I'd get out of there with the prescription and the jab. Instead, now I have a prescription to have an echocardiogram because they want to listen to the murmur. Now, I've had the murmur for a long time. I think what happened is, sadly, Lindsey Graham just passed away, and he had an aortic tear. And I guess I might have a blockage there. And not to scare people, but enjoy this podcast. It could be the last one. So those are the things that happened to me yesterday. Also, the Yankees won. Wow, they won 2 in a row. The one behind the Tampa Bay Rays. If you don't follow baseball, you have to understand the Yankees right now are fielding a team of misfits and AAA ball players. Anybody that's any good is hurt. Nobody can hit. How they win, I don't know, but I'm very happy they did win. I think I can get away with this. When you're on social media, YouTube specifically, they are really tough on anything copyrighted. You can't do anything. And on my regular audio podcast, which I've already recorded, I play games because that's like the wild, wild west of cyberspace. Nobody really checks what I'm doing. But this is a song that was created for me, and I believe that I'm okay to play it. We'll find out. But yesterday I was talking about Villa V Residents at Sea. They are an operation that started out badly. They couldn't get out of Liverpool. They couldn't find a drive shaft. And this guy, Mikkel Peterson, was selling people cabins on this old ship. And I'm like, don't get involved. Don't empty your IRA, sell your house for this. Well, he's since got in bed with NCL Holdings, and he's taken over one of their Regent ships, and he's going to have the luxury version of this, whatever it is. And he just announced that he's acquiring a second ship, and people that buy it on the first ship can go to the second ship when it's ready, probably because the first ship is falling apart. Allegedly, conjecture, I have no proof. But it's very possible that I could be wrong, and that Villa V and the rest of that operation is on the up and up. So my friends put together a little song, and I love that music. Let's swing it, everybody. Not all day. We don't have all day, people.
There is no shame
there isn't.
in being wrong.
Oh.
Sometimes that's what makes you strong.
Yeah, baby.
It takes a little courage just to say, I didn't see it quite that way.
Oh, boy.
Let's be honest, here's the truth. Nobody bats 1,000 through their
Nope.
youth. Most of the time I call it right, but every now and then I lose the fight. Maybe Villa V will be everything the guru said it wouldn't be. Maybe all my doubts will fade away. How about we wait and see? If I'm wrong, I'll own it proudly. No excuses, no decree until the story's finished writing. Let's just wait and see.
One more time.
Predictions aren't promises, opinions change with time. The final chapter hasn't been written, and that's perfectly fine. There is no shame in being wrong. Sometimes that's what makes you strong.
Oh, baby.
If the guru missed this one, life goes on.
Oh.
The song goes on. Maybe Villa V's the real deal. Maybe that's the way it'll be until the voyage reaches harbor. Let's just wait and see.
Thank you. That was the wonderful boys and girls from a software called Suno, and they do an absolutely amazing job. They take my lyrics and put it to music, and I don't know who that singer was. It's cloned, boy, it's amazing. And I like to do that from time to time. We'll see if I get slapped down by YouTube. That might be the last time I get to play that. If you're a first-time viewer, because this is only the third time I'm recording this, I always ask a favor. Please say a prayer for the men and women and the boys and girls of the military. I have a nephew flying for the Air Force. I mentioned it a couple of times already. He flew home. He's a captain. He flew home the soldiers we just lost. They get dressed, they go out, they polish their weapons, and they get ready. They're on the front line. They deserve a prayer. Just stop and say a prayer. Please do. Also, we do have a travel company. It's called bestofseatours.com. You're going to hear a lot about that. I want to give you that phone number. Write it down, 723-7874. Let's dive right into today's podcast. I have a team of voices that do the reading, and I do the commenting, and we'll start out with the gentleman that covers crime.
Good morning, Guru. Here's a story about an EasyJet flight that became the ultimate fighting championship at 35,000 feet. According to People.com, a routine EasyJet flight from Tenerife to Liverpool turned around just 30 minutes after takeoff when a massive fight broke out in the cabin. According to the airline, about 10 passengers became disruptive, prompting the captain to declare that the situation posed a safety risk and return to Tenerife South Airport. Police were waiting when the Boeing landed and boarded the aircraft to deal with the unruly passengers before the flight eventually continued on to Liverpool. EasyJet praised its flight and ground crews, saying they are trained to respond quickly to situations that could jeopardize the safety of passengers or the aircraft. Spain's air traffic controllers also expressed support for the crew, noting that airline employees are increasingly being forced to deal with violent and disruptive behavior in the skies. Fortunately, no injuries were reported, but it's another reminder that even a single group of out-of-control passengers can force an entire flight to turn back, disrupting travel plans for nearly 200 people.
Absolutely. Now, here is the format for this podcast, and now whatever this is called. There are stories that I see, they catch my eye, I'm interested, and then I kind of rewrite it rather than plagiarize it. And I also use AI. I love artificial intelligence, and they sometimes use words that I wouldn't use, and I don't notice it. In this case, they say there was a massive fight. A massive fight. Well, 10 people is probably not massive, it's missive. But then they go on to say no one was injured. Well, what kind of fight was it if 10 people got into a fight and no one caught a cut lip, a busted black eye, nothing? And then the whole situation, well, when you look at it right away, there's one word that should jump off the page: Liverpool. The flight was going to Liverpool with a bunch of drunken scousers. If you know anything about those guys, they'll fight about anything. They don't care. They're the soccer hooligans. Problem is, the flight attendants aren't trained for this. They say they are. That's the PR words. But bottom line, give them tasers. They should be given tasers. This is getting out of hand. I mean, people that won't sit down. Then I don't want to get involved. I mean, I've yet to have to get involved. I've never had a problem on a flight with me. But I say, the guru says, give them tasers and do it today. Now, let's move on to some regular stories. And here's Reese.
Good morning, Guru.
Hey, babe.
Happy hump day. And thanks for this buggy story.
Okay.
With buggy names. Right out of the chute. The CDC is warning travelers about an outbreak of the mosquito-borne chikungunya virus in Costa Rica. The advisory focuses on Guanacaste province in the country's northwest, with most reported cases in Playa Langosta, a popular beach destination near Playa Tamarindo. Travelers visiting areas with an outbreak are urged to consider vaccination and protect themselves with insect repellent and long sleeves and pants. Symptoms can appear up to 7 days after infection and include joint pain, swelling, muscle aches, headaches, and rashes. Most people recover within a week, but some experience severe joint pain for months or even years. Newborns, older adults, and people with certain medical conditions may face greater risks. Costa Rica's Ministry of Health says specialized teams have already fumigated about 5,000 homes and carried out targeted interventions at hundreds more. The warning comes as tourism remains strong, with more than 2.6 million international travelers visiting Costa Rica for personal trips in 2025. The CDC has also issued chikungunya warnings for several other destinations, including the Seychelles, French Guiana, Mauritius, Suriname, and last but not least, Bolivia. Guru, could I suggest they visit Myrtle Beach?
I'm with you, babe. Myrtle Beach sounds good to me. But then again, there might be mosquitoes, but not the Chuckawakwa. Now, if you're first-time viewers, you understand why I have professionals do the reading. I would never have been able to cover that the way that Reese did. But let's get to the story. The story is this. Stay the hell home. Stay in the garage. Put a helmet on. Wait for the end of the world. I mean, look, Costa Rica is a big expat community down there. Americans go down there. They're very favorable when it comes to taxes. and I could be wrong about this. It's been a while. I looked into this when I was spending most of the year on cruise ships. I asked my government, I love my government, why I had to pay taxes. They said you have to stay out of the country for almost a year, give or take an hour or two. And so when you go to Costa Rica, that's a permanent kind of thing if you want to beat the U.S. out of taxes. But they are very favorable there, but it's not the United States of America, so it's not for me. But if you want to live on the beach and chew on a coconut, whatever, knock yourself out. And I'm not sure if bug spray is the answer right there. I believe you're going to have to go ahead and get a vaccine if you're going to Costa Rica. That's just another example of the value of this podcast. You would never have known about the chimichanga, whatever it is, some Mexican mosquito. You would never have known if you didn't join me. Now, we do have to pay some bills around here. Every once in a while, we have a commercial, especially for the company that we have called Best at Sea Tours. And you see me looking down now because I have a lot of buttons in front of me. And sometimes I just can't find my button, but here it is.
Hi, everyone. It's Dottie. Traveling solo doesn't mean traveling alone. One of the biggest concerns we hear from solo travelers is, what if I don't know anyone? At Best at Sea Tours, that's exactly why we host cruises. From welcome cocktail parties and hosted events to group dinners, you'll be surrounded by friendly people who share your love of travel. Many of our guests come aboard as solo travelers and leave with friendships that last a lifetime.
That's true.
When you sail with Best at Sea Tours, you're not just booking a cruise, you're joining a family. So if you've been thinking about taking that dream cruise but didn't want to travel alone, we'd love to welcome you aboard. And here's a favor to ask. If you know someone who loves cruising but doesn't have a travel companion, please tell them about Best at Sea Tours. Call us today at 866-723-7874 and follow the prompts for me, Dottie, or visit bestatseatours.com. I've spent nearly 4 decades at sea, and I've learned the best part of cruising isn't the ship or the destinations. It's the people you meet along the way. Come join our family at Best at Sea Tours. Best at Sea Tours, luxury travel, lasting friendships, because solo travelers should never have to travel alone.
And the wife makes a lot of sense. And if you go on our website, bestatseatours.com, you will see quite a few hosted cruises on board Crystal Cruises. They are the sponsor of this podcast. We love that cruise line. I perform on that cruise line. I'm about, a week or so away from flying to Vancouver. Well, I'll be performing on the Crystal Symphony. I'll be performing on the Crystal Symphony for New Year's. If you're a solo at home and you don't know what you can do for New Year's, go on our website and take a look. Join us for New Year's Eve. We have a great group. I'm telling you, a top-notch group. We have solos. Why be home alone or go with your kids? You know what? Spend a few bucks. It's an elegant New Year's Eve celebration on the Crystal Symphony. Come and join us. And let's get back to, I don't know if I paid story 1, story 2. Story 2, I think, is next. And this is Reese.
Guru, I am guessing that you might want to set the record straight on the story.
Oh, this one.
Carnival Cruise Line and Italian shipbuilder Fincantieri are celebrating 30 years of partnership. And according to Fincantieri CEO Pierroberto Folgero, that partnership helped create the modern cruise industry.
No.
Speaking during the steel-cutting ceremony for the new Carnival Destiny, Folgero credited Carnival and the Arison family with pioneering today's cruise business, while Fincantieri turned that vision into reality. He says the industry is expected to grow about 4.5% annually through 2030, driven by one key advantage. Cruises continue to offer exceptional value compared to similar land vacations. The new Carnival Destiny, scheduled for delivery in 2029, will become the largest ship in Carnival's history at roughly 230,000 gross tons. The first Carnival ship to exceed the 200,000-ton mark and the largest cruise ship ever built by Fincantieri. To make that possible, the shipyard is installing massive new Italian-built cranes that double its lifting capacity, while investing heavily in robotics and automation to improve efficiency. Folgero says the technology isn't replacing workers. It's allowing employees to focus on higher value work as the next generation of megaships takes shape.
I've been in this business of the cruise industry, entertaining for over 30 years. Shocking, really. And I can tell you right now, that's not Carnival. established the cruise industry, it was Norwegian Cruise Line. It was Norwegian American back in the day. His name was Knut Kloster. Now, here is the story, and I spent a lot of time researching this to make sure I was correct. There have been a lot of stories. There's a great book called The Devil in the Deep Blue Sea. You can probably get it on Amazon. It tracks this whole time way back in the 60s when the industry started. And it started because Ted Aronson, Mickey's father, right, had a marine company, travel agency kind of thing in Miami. And he reached out to Knut Kloster in Norway. And they had a ship. And he said, bring it to Miami and I'll sell tickets and you can take people on cruises. And he did. And as I read and do research, the breakdown was, there was a lot of stories about how it went down. The original story was that Knut Kloster, he operated the ship, which he did, and Mickey's dad, Ted, sold the tickets, which he did. And one was a ticket agent, the other one operated the ships. And at one point, Knut Kloster realized that there was a year paid in advance. It was so popular that people had given their money a year in advance. And he's like, if anything happens with Ted Aronson, he's got the money. And there was a big dispute that ended up in court. And as I did further research using AI and they dig into books, I don't know if they go to a library anymore. The reality was it did go into court. And the story had always been that Ted Aronson walked out of that with $1 million, and that's how he started Carnival. And now it's somewhat in dispute. The bottom line is that's when it happened. It actually happened while they were in court is when he started Carnival. And Carnival began in 1972, and NCL began in 1966, and Royal Caribbean began in 1970. So even chronologically, they didn't create the industry. It was really created. Now, we're talking about Caribbean cruising. We're not talking about Holland America or Cunard that were around doing transatlantics forever. We're talking about traditional cruising. The other thing is, I worked for NCL 30-some years ago when it was owned by the Norwegians. It was a special time. It was a time that will never be repeated because it was a family-owned cruise line, Norwegian captains. It was just a free-for-all, but it was so much fun. And now it's such a corporate world, the cruise industry, with the exception of MSC, which is privately owned, but still run as a corporate operation. It was different way back then. And Knut Kloster and his people, they developed the first private island, not Celebration Key, not Coco Cay. It was Norwegian Cruise Line, Half Moon Key. And they've since ruined it. It was so wonderful back then. A dive-in program, they created that where you could go out with a diver. Somebody from the cruise line would be with you. They wouldn't stick you on a tour. They would be with you during the tour. He created that. Youth programs. You brought your kids on board. Who's going to babysit the Rugrats? It was created all by a Norwegian Cruise Line. And eventually freestyle cruising, which became what we have now, which is you get charged gratuities. You don't have the same waiter. It is what it is. I could go on forever about Colin Veach. This is why I'm the guru of the seas. I have lived this, and I understand it. And Mr. Foldy, Roberto Folgeru, whatever his name is, he's wrong. Now, Carnival, as I read this story again right now in front of me, the modern cruise industry. Now, I might give him that because the modern cruise industry are these unbelievably mega mothers, sea Godzillas, Greyhound with life jackets, that in my opinion, they changed the cruise industry, maybe not for the good, because it became a mass market operation. It's a whole different situation, which is why we partner up with Crystal, because that is the opposite of that. It's an elegant, ultra luxury cruise line. And in fact, reminds me of Norwegian Cruise Line 30 years ago. But bottom line to this story is, and Reese is right, I wanted to have a bone to pick here. He was wrong. But you know what? He builds ships. And I will also say, if you're going to have cranes built, get them built in Germany. The other thing about Fink and Thierry, they did something in the modern cruise industry that no one's ever done. They've built ships consistently that end up going back to be fixed. I remember being on the Zuiderdam when it came out, and it had the Aussie Pod propulsion system, and the ass end bounced up and down like a gangbanger's 55 Chevy, and they finally admitted it, and they took it back to Italy so they could fix it. God bless them. They're the biggest, but it's the old who's got the best price kind of thing. What else we got here, Reese?
Guru, here is some good news for the price shoppers and the bottom dwellers. Industry analysts say Caribbean cruise bargains could be on the way this winter as cruise lines add a record number of ships to the region. Capacity is expected to jump 10% compared to last winter, following an 8% increase the year before. That means more cabins to fill, and travel agencies are already seeing average Caribbean fares running about 2% lower than this time last year. Part of the increase comes from Norwegian Cruise Line shifting ships out of Europe, while MSC and Royal Caribbean are sending two of the world's largest cruise ships to the Caribbean, each carrying well over 6,700 passengers. Analysts say cruise lines may have to discount sailings, especially from fly-in ports where expensive airfares can discourage bookings. But there's one wild card. If tensions in the Middle East continue, more travelers may skip Europe and choose the Caribbean instead, just as they did earlier this year. Adding to the competition, Norwegian is opening its new Great Tides water park at Great Stirrup Cay, while Carnival has expanded Celebration Key and Half Moon Cay. With more ships, more private islands, and more choices than ever, this winter could be one of the best opportunities in years for travelers looking for a Caribbean cruise deal.
Well, here's the deal. First of all, this podcast should be sponsored by CLIA. That's the Cruise Line Industry Association, who do very little to promote the cruise line industry at all. I should be sponsored by them because I am the person that says the greatest vacation value in the world is on a cruise ship. If you didn't hear me last week when I was down in Fort Myers and people were lined up at the Margaritaville Resort to pay $65 a person for an adult, $32 for a kid, $200 basically for a family of four to go sit by the pool in Fort Myers and listen to a DJ, nothing included. And I walked by there and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, for the price of some of these Caribbean cruises, you just can't beat it. As far as the prices going down, they're always going up and they're going down because they use dynamic pricing. I mean, you've heard me say over and over again, Royal Caribbean sold out. Holland America recently sold out. The idea that these analysts are predicting they're going to go down, maybe not. If anything, the bookings might slow up because people are getting hip to the idea of that dynamic pricing. That we have an expression in Jersey, they'll drop their pants if they have to fill the ship, because I've said it many, many times on this podcast. The presidents of cruise lines, they want two things, right? They want to tell Wall Street they're at 107% capacity, whether they are or not. They want to say they are. And two, they want a terminal in Miami, their own private terminal, and go to Miami and look. Virgin has one, MSC has one, NCL has one, Royal Caribbean has one. Carnival has one. Royal Caribbean has two. That's a big thing. As I've said many times, it's like a Jewish dentist has to buy a Corvette, with apologies to my friends. So at the end of the day, I don't know if this is true or not, but I will tell you this, there will be value, but it's still a hard way to cruise. 5,000 people. I was on the MSC Miraviglia. Now, I have a client that's on the yacht club. Well, that's a whole different animal. As I've said, a lot of this is repetitious because so many people will be hearing me the first time. The yacht club, the haven, the retreat, the sanctuary, those are areas, the Queen's Grill, those are areas on a ship above the riffraff. That's where you take an elevator. In the case of NCL, it's gold-plated elevator to the top, and you go to a whole new world. And then you go down and you look around, go back up to the top. And you pay a lot more for that, but you still have to deal with 3 gangways and 5,000 people and 4,000 people. It's a different, and that would be modern cruising as we know it. And even then, I think Royal Caribbean outdoes Carnival when it comes to that. Nobody does better in the Caribbean than Royal Caribbean. And that is today's podcast. Let me see if the button works. Hey, it does. It's only day 3 of this social media experiment, because I was told if you want to get the word out, if you want to expose yourself legally, you do it on social media. So I work harder than I did before, hoping that somebody takes a look. I hope you enjoyed it. It's going to get better. Need better lighting. You might notice I don't talk to anybody. I don't interview people. That's was never the mission statement here. The mission statement was stories. And I have so many people, and I want to say thanks to all of my stringers. I have people that send me links to stories in the hotel, the car rental, the cruise, the airline industry. We go through those. I sift through, my team and I, that would be me. I go through those and I choose the ones that I think might be interesting or might have fun with, or I can be abusive, something like that. So I hope you enjoy it. Check it out again tomorrow. You can go on and follow me. I appreciate that. Follow me on YouTube. Follow me on Facebook. And that way you'll get it right away. Or you can find the audio version on every podcast platform. That is published every morning at 8 a.m. Every morning at 8 a.m. You can find it on Podbean, iHeart, Spotify, Apple. That's the audio version. It's a little bit different. It has a little more fun in it. And this one, this is more like the Cadaver. You know that guy on ABC? Except he needed a black suit, a white shirt, black tie, and it looked like I passed away yesterday. Have a good one. Talk to you tomorrow.